Welcome back to the Mountain Man Medical YouTube channel. Thanks for hanging out. Today we're going to look at kind of an interesting video that I found. This is a Denver officer. This is in my neck of the woods. He was fired after failing to render aid to a shooting victim. So I think there's some things that we can learn about from this bad situation. So hang out. Let's talk about that next. All right, guys, before we get into this video, do me a huge favor. Go down below, hit the like and subscribe. That's a free way to support me in the channel. If you like what I do, want to support me, that's a great way to do it. Head over to the mountainmanmedical.com website. Check out our Yellowstone and Tracker trauma kits. And let's check this video out.
Denver police fired an officer for failing to help a young man shot in the leg. That man later died. Now his mother is furious.
Today we obtained the body camera footage showing what happened at the scene, and we want to warn you, it's hard to watch. It shows the officer standing over the man's body for nearly 15 minutes as he bled to death. September of 2020, Officer Dewayne Rodgers responding to a shooting in southeast Denver near Parker and Havana.
Yeah, can you start me in ambulance code 10, one gunshot victim?
On the ground with a gunshot wound is 18-year-old Jalonte Jones.
You know who shot you? Can you give me your name? What's your name? What's your name? Hey, wake up, what's your name?
Officer Rodgers stands over the teen for 10 minutes without applying any first aid.
Oh, I'm dying.
All right, what's your name?
By our count, Rodgers asked the victim his name 14 times as he bled to death.
Where were you coming from?
I'm dying.
I got an ambulance coming for you. Are you going to answer any questions or no?
I'm dying, sir.
I got an ambulance coming for you.
So normally it's a good idea to ask questions. You want to be talking to your casualty. You want to be asking them simple questions because this is a quick, easy diagnostic for you to do. Because what this does is it lets us get a read on their mental status. If they aren't answering your questions correctly, then there might be something going wrong upstairs, right? They might not be getting enough oxygen. If they're acting drunk, they might be they might be having a lack of oxygen for some reason, and we need to figure out what that reason is. So we want to make sure that we're talking to our casualty. This is also our opportunity to comfort them a little bit because they are worried that they're dying. So we want to make sure that we're talking to our casualty because it's also a way for us to comfort them. They might legitimately be dying, and that might be the only thing that we can do for this person. But we need to be asking good questions while we're working on them. We need to be exposing the wound and taking a look and trying to see what we can do for that casualty. So let's finish this video up here.
Are you going to answer any questions?
14 minutes after Officer Rodgers arrived and did nothing.
You got a tourniquet on him?
Huh?
You got a tourniquet on him?
No, I don't have my tourniquet.
So he didn't even have his tourniquet on him. So that is... You need to have a tourniquet on you, obviously. I'm assuming it's very similar to the military, the way the police are, where they have a gear list. There's a set amount of gear that they're supposed to be carrying on their body at all times. And I'm fairly certain that a tourniquet is one of those standard operating procedures. It's the police officers who are the ones that are applying the tourniquets before EMS even show up on scene. So them having tourniquets is very essential, not only to protect themselves in case they get shot, but they need to have multiple tourniquets. One for themselves so that they can apply it if they get injured, but also additional tourniquets so that they can apply those to the casualties that they run up on. Now, we want to talk a little bit about what to do if you don't have a tourniquet. That might be something that the officer thought that if he didn't have a tourniquet, there's nothing that he could do. And you might be thinking that similar thing. But there's still a lot that can be done for the casualty. What you need to do is figure out where the most of the bleeding is coming from. You want to, if they're shot multiple times, look for all of the bullet holes and then get a good idea of which ones are the worst, and then you can start assessing that so that you can start applying direct pressure. If you don't have a tourniquet, direct pressure on the worst bleeder is going to do the most good for that casualty and be the most beneficial. So you want to get an idea which one's the worst, direct pressure, and then you want to hold it until EMS can arrive on scene to take over and apply tourniquets. If that officer had done this, even though he didn't have a tourniquet, he would have been able to do something at least, and maybe he wouldn't have been fired. there's a good chance that he would have been anyway because he should have had a tourniquet on him. But he would have been able to say that at least I've done something. And sometimes that's all you can do. Direct pressure, hold it in place until EMS can arrive on scene, and then they can take over from there.
Medical crews finally got to the scene.
But he's got no pulse.
Jalonte Jones died. The city fired Officer Rodgers for failing to render aid, calling his behavior a callous lack of humanity.
He literally stood there and watched my child die.
The victim's mother, Dewayne Jones, says she is disgusted and strongly believes if Officer Rodgers did his duty, her son would be alive.
It's like, why did you take this job? Why take a job that requires you to serve and protect and you did neither? If you're there, don't get a job to help people if you have no plans on helping people, because he didn't do anything to help my son. And if I could, I would trade my life for my sons in a heartbeat.
Another responding officer, David Clough, resigned amid the internal affairs investigation. We've learned the district attorney reviewed this case and concluded there was no applicable criminal charge against the officers. And the man who shot and killed Jalonte Jones pleaded guilty to assault and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Rodgers was not only fired for this incident, he was also fired for failing to comply with the city's vaccine mandate.
I think it's pretty interesting that the guy that shot and killed him only got 10 years for assault. That seems like murder to me, but I mean, I guess that's why I'm not a lawyer. Anyway, that's a pretty interesting case. Don't know what to make of that. There are some takeaways that we can see from this video. So those are some food for thought. If you like what you saw, go ahead and hit a like and subscribe. That's a free way to support me. Help me out with the channel. Don't forget to head over to mountainmanmedical.com. Check out our Yellowstone and Tracker trauma kits. Be ready for whatever the mountain throws at you. I'll catch you guys in the next one.